Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's video. It is Friday the 3rd of May 2024. This is your Bitcoin and cryptocurrency update. I don't really need to do this backgroundy thing very much today. Let's just get straight into the analysis because we've had a decent bounce and everything so far today is pretty green. So we've got some big movers. We got TON, we got Bonk, we got AR, we got W in there. I'm in a long position on W. And yeah, there's a few other, a lot of other coins in the green today. You go across the top 100, the top 200, there's tons of green. And this is even after yesterday where, again, a lot of the market was, well, closed. Pretty decent closes yesterday across the board for a lot of altcoins. JTO, of course, being one that we're watching as well. And the ETF outflows that we had spoken about previously have also slowed down. So yesterday's video, we were talking about, well, the massive ETF outflows that we had. The first time that we had IBIT that was showing an outflow here on the chart. And that's back down to that zero. So you remember yesterday I was saying about how the majority of the time from now on, as long as Bitcoin's ranging, we're going to see a lot of zeros, okay, as market makers within the funds themselves just manage the supply and the demand internally rather than having to tap into the market itself. The outlier being, of course, GBTC, which is still selling a ton of Bitcoin every day and basically is the majority of any outflows that we do get. But overall, looking pretty good. Only 589 600 Bitcoin sold yesterday, outflows from the ETFs themselves. And we can also see that that discount has basically gone. IBIT is in fact the only one still showing a significant discount here. So IBIT, which has been, I guess, the most bullish out of all the ETFs since it launched, is still at a pretty heavy discount against spots here, a negative 1.77% discount. So if anyone's looking to invest into an ETF, then the IBIT one looks like the best option right now. Currently running at a 2% discount against the net asset value, that basically meaning BTC. The outflows overall have chilled out as well here. Are we going to start to see those inflows once again? And just like I say, we're probably going through a phase where we see minimal inflows, minimal outflows for the next few weeks. Looking at the chart here, there's not really anything else within this that I want to share. So we'll go on to the Bitcoin chart and a decent bounce. Yeah, so a decent bounce. We had that anchored VWAP, our yearly anchored VWAP. And also came into where we had a little bit of a momentary consolidation before another markup and coming close to the 0.5 of this move. So if we go from our low to our high here and we add in the 0.5 here, then of course we were very, very close to reaching that. So almost a 50% retrace from that 38K low to our all-time highs that we put in recently. The other thing that we do, of course, have is the 100-day moving average that we're just currently just chopping around. Let's just move this to the 100 there. If that's gonna refresh, there we go. So we had that move below the 100 daily moving average and we're so far just bouncing back into that. Now that is starting to curve down, okay? And then we have the 50 coming down with it. So this is, at least on the first attempt, a lot of the time with this, it's going to cause some resistance. We can see that the 100 has acted as nice support previously. That has now been flipped. I'm not saying this as being like massively, massively bearish, but it is something to be aware of. I would expect this to cause some pressure, some sell pressure on the higher time frames here with Bitcoin. And also, of course, we are getting that continuous back test into what was the range lows, those lows from back on the 5th of March. And the daily close yesterday actually closing below there again. So we've not yet recovered any of this big move down just yet. This is still just working on a, what you would say, basically like not dead cat bounce, but a bounce, and I would still be anticipating, unless we reclaim that 62 to 60K area, I would still be anticipating further downside here on the Bitcoin chart. That would then take us down in towards the 200 daily moving average, which currently is sat here at a nice high volume node for the year so far. But what we don't want to be doing is like yeah, getting caught down there. If this is ideal situation, would be a bit of a grind. Let this moving average come up towards price, maybe a bit more of a bounce, and then like form some kind of wedge here, and then we break up afterwards. So some time of just consolidating again, but that doesn't mean that altcoins can't run. There's not going to be good trades here, but still, as we have had a bounce, a slight short bias here on Bitcoin now that we are back at important resistance. If we go to the 4-hour time frame, then we can see once again here we're just working away on this like high volume area that we broke down from previously. Now that needs to reclaim like towards 62 and start to hold once again, like I say, for this to be bullish. And the momentum does seem to be slowing somewhat here. So although we're in this little local uptrend, I would be looking at some short positions, I think, for today. Now, if we go and look on the lower time frames, all right, this is actually there's some really nice stuff on the lower time frames. So far, all right, earlier on, it had been trading in this like quite nice channel, and we seem to have reclaimed that right now. I'll turn off these moving averages, and there was this channel. So if we go from these lows over here, was this one? Something like this, and connect it towards the highs. You can see how lows, highs, midpoint was trading really well. And we just dropped outside of that momentarily, a back test of the daily open. And since getting a decent bounce off of the daily open, I think we're probably approaching back towards VWAP here. And but so far a decent bounce. This is what I shared for the crew this morning. I was looking for that move down towards daily open. We have some imbalances there in which to fill, and so far we've had a decent bounce from that. So a bounce of 0.5%, which as a scalp trade is pretty decent. If this does roll over a little bit more, I can see this coming back up, maybe not towards the highs, right, but I can certainly see this getting a bounce back up towards here. You can see as we got this high that was put in earlier on, some divergence forming at the top there, and also this was the point in which we took out the poor highs from yesterday. All right, we have that distribution above previous day high, and then that started to roll over a little bit back into some support. I would be essentially looking at that back test of that previous day high, where we have a nice gap up here that we can work with, this just being on the 5-minute time frame. So any move back here I think would present a pretty decent opportunity for a short position in validation at today's high, and we'd more or less be looking for that move down towards $58,000. Not necessarily expecting like big move down. You could, of course, if you are looking for shorts, then I do believe at some stage these lows, I'm in the way of it, but the lows that we put in earlier on in the week could get taken. But I think for today, I'd be looking for a short position down towards 58K, and then potentially could even target some longs from there. So that's like the main trade I'm looking at. I'm not like, like short trades for me at the moment are mainly just short time frame scalps. I did try a short yesterday, got stopped out pretty quickly, but for me that's absolutely fine. Okay, this was when we were here. I took the shorts here. We got a bit of a dip down, but then quickly stopped out of that trade, and then we saw that continuation higher throughout the rest of the day. So any move up here, you've got a nice like clear invalidation above these highs. We've cleaned up the poor highs from yesterday. We've taken out the previous day highs. Now we can be looking for a move potentially back down again. Now, if this does continue higher, then we have what was our monthly open. So when we had just the big crash at the beginning of the month, we do have that monthly open, and then we've got some 4-hour gaps above here. So 60,680-ish. Around about your monthly open, 60674, and then above 61,600 we do have this big 4-hour gap that I think at some stage we can be testing into. Anything else to be aware of? Previous day open, something to consider. That's also the POC of this whole I guess, range that we're putting in right now, and I would expect that range to continue. So if you're looking for a short, you'd be looking at take profits here. But yeah, nice confluence around that 58k golden pocket from what is this. So we had the chop, and then we had the like trending move up, golden pocket from that. Even if we do extend that down towards where our lows were, so our monthly lows, then you still have that 618 in the right area, around about that 58k zone. And then on the 15-minute time frame, we had a gap that went through a gap. So we had the gap here, price was consolidating, then impulse through it to create another gap. So that for me is just a really nice looking target for any shorts, which is why that is probably the trade for today, if we can get it. Other than that, yeah, not too much more to discuss. It is a Friday, gonna be maybe fairly slow for today, but yeah, not too much else to say. We can have a look at the altcoins. W, of course, we have that decent move up. We came through the anchored view up from its launch here, was holding it for a little bit and now pulling back. I'm still holding this trade. I'm happy with where it's at as long as we're holding around that 65 cents area now that this POC's moved up. I'm quite chill on that. And then, of course, JTO did hit our first take profit and is still showing some really good strength here. So I am long on JTO, still holding along. I had my initial TP1, TP2 here, but that was before the big dump, all right? And now I'm just maybe setting those expectations a little bit lower because obviously the market didn't make the higher low, although JTO did make the higher low, the rest of the market didn't. And yeah, that anchored VWAP from its high here and this trend line down here was a good TP1. Now, if this holds, I see no reason why I can't go and search for these highs, but yeah. Taking the profit, especially because I do see a little bit of downside being fairly likely here on Bitcoin. Yeah, that's everything I really want to say, I think. Nothing else. Ethereum's not doing very much today. Yeah, it's just flat on the day here. Again, ETH just a bit of a move down. ETH BTC pair not looking too great again. Again, you see here, like, you had that spike up, took out some highs, and then just correcting a lot of this. So Ethereum's not of any particular interest. We see Bitcoin dominance just chilling as well here. So yeah, overall, just I guess that's it. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Have a great weekend, and see you next week. Bye bye.